We're Hasani and Danielle Pettiford, and we're a real couple with real problems who almost called it quits.
I was very frustrated. I became very disconnected, very jaded and cold.
We have 4 children, going on 20 years of marriage, and we practice what we preach.
Our mission, to change the way couples relate to one another and teach them the skills needed to improve the quality of their relationships. This is the Couples Academy Show.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Couples Academy Show. My name is Hasani. Thanks for tuning in. This is the day, just like every day, 5 days a week, where we come and talk about relationship challenges and how to overcome them. People from all over the world tune in to be a part of this conversation, so we thank you for it. We want you to rep your city, state, and country so that we can let the people know who you are and where you're dialing in from. Listen, before we get started, as we always ask you to do, like, share, and subscribe. Let your community know that we are here, because there's so many people who are going through pain and need help and need relief, and that's the service that we provide. We're talking today about the question, how long does the affair recovery process last? That's a question a lot of people have, because they're thinking about what they're going through. They're thinking about what they're dealing with on a daily basis. How long is this going to take? How long is this going to be? That's what we want to delve into today and have a comprehensive unpacking of it, so you know what to expect, how to overcome, and how to begin to heal. We are now just off of the heels of the Last Chance weekend. It was an amazing experience, and sometimes people want to know, well, what happens behind the scenes? Tell me about the preparation. Tell me what happens after the fact. And so we just put together a little snippet to give you insight on what we do every second weekend of the month. That is transformational for couples. So just take a quick look, just some B-roll so you could see kind of what's going on. And then we're going to go into a powerful testimonial of a couple who came this past weekend and has left with a new lease for life, a new passion for the marriage. And we're excited about them. And so if that's you, if you're vacillating back and forth, trying to figure out, should we do it? Listen, it's a no-brainer. Just check it out, and we'll be right back right after this.
My name is Shanice Rollison. I'm from Virginia. My husband and I have been together for 12 years, married for 8. We came to Last Chance weekend because we were on the brink of divorce, literally about to file. I was excited the first day coming down here and hopeful, but during the process, I decided that I was leaving the next day. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to be involved. I couldn't take it anymore. But I came back anyway, trusted the process like everybody said, and we went on a field trip. The field trip gave me a new perspective that let me listen to my husband and believe him instead of believing myself. The rest of the day gave us insight that we haven't been able to get for 12 years. 12 years of misunderstandings, arguments, feeling like the other one was doing things on purpose. And we left feeling really hopeful and partially restored, but afraid that when we got home, things would go right back to being the same. The third day, today, has been amazing and extremely eye-opening. I love my husband more than I did when I met him. I feel like he feels the same about me, and we're genuinely excited, able to let go of the past and look forward to the future. So for anybody who's thinking about it, if it's worth it, come. it works. It really does. I know that all the videos say it. I thought it was corny, but it works.
It works, folks. It really, really, really does work. It's one thing for you to hear me say it, but when you hear the experience of other people, it becomes more impactful. Now, we're talking about, how long is this a fair recovery process? It looks very different depending upon what course you take. There are those who do nothing. There are those who do something. And depending upon the something determines how long it will be. There's the traditional weekly, hourly process that you'll do over a duration of time. And so the impact of your recovery process is different than if you do an intensive experience in 3 days, which is equivalent to 8 months. But let's just go with the traditional. Generally speaking, across the board, it is unanimous that it takes, upwards of 2 years to truly heal and recover from an affair because of the different stages that you go through. And the reality is every couple will experience each stage completely different. Some will flow and fly through stages. Some will have to park in spaces because they're stuck with some things that they need breakthrough on in order to get to the next stage. So we're going to be talking about that today and what that looks like. Now, many of you are familiar with the term D-Day, right? That's the day of discovery. So for those first 6 weeks, you are on an emotional roller coaster because everything is about the what happened. Like what just happened? We reference some of the most traumatic experiences that we have in our lives that keep us so preoccupied with that experience. It's hard to get beyond it. As a nation here in the United States, we have suffered 9/11. Can you remember back at that time? I remember where I was, what I was doing at the time of the first attack, right? So when that first plane hit the building, the second plane hit the building, the other one that was, shot down, that was on the way to the Pentagon, we all pretty much knew where we were. And for the first few weeks to few months, some would say several months, we were so preoccupied with what occurred. Every news station, every radio show, every article, every blog, every forum, every conversation, every church service. There was this preoccupation with what just happened, and it was hard to move beyond it because many people just did not understand what happened, why it could happen, why would anybody want to do this to us. There were all these opinions, all these questions. Everybody wanted to weigh in, but in essence, the nation was fixated on a traumatic event. And oftentimes when you're having your 9/11 experience in your life and in your relationship, it begins to consume you. And so it's easy for someone to say, just move on, it happened, pick up the pieces and keep on trucking. That's easy to say unless crisis has come to your front door. And so in this process, you're dealing with a whole lot of questions, countless conversations, usually till the wee hours of the morning. It affects one's ability to sleep, or maybe they're sleeping too much. It affects one's ability to eat. They lose their appetite, or maybe they're eating too much. Their level of stress is on a high. And so these are the things that we go through. And there's this pursuit for truth. And oftentimes there's the rejection or the denial of truth for an incalculable number of reasons. And so what happens is, think about the children of Israel. That trip through the wilderness into Canaan land should have only taken a few weeks, but it took 40 years. They were wandering around in circles for 40 years. And oftentimes in the discovery phase, as we like to call it, since the discovery day, couples are wandering around in circles, right? One is trying to seek more. One is trying to deny the other the truth. They don't want to talk about it for a number of different reasons. They're doing it on their own. It becomes very, very painful. It's a painstaking process of emotional ups and downs, and it seems like there is no end to it, that life cannot get better because you are soaked and saturated in that level of pain. We use this example all the time. When you're taking a trip on a plane, no matter where you're going, the only way that it gets from point A to point B is that there's a radar system in the cockpit. If you get in your car and you're taking a long journey, I don't remember the last time anyone, opened up a map and actually looked at a map and tried to figure out how to get to a destination. No, you have a navigation system in your vehicle. And as long as you put that destination in, it's going to tell you where to go. And you just follow it, right? But when you don't have a navigation system, a radar system, a guide, someone guiding you, a coach, a counselor, and you're attempting to do it on your own, it can take an incredibly long time, and you may wind up in destinations that you never thought that you would go, right? You wind up going down these rabbit holes, and you're not getting any closer to where you want to be. So that's the stage that people find themselves in. We're going to talk about these other stages on the other side of this break. Stay tuned. You're watching the Couples Academy Show. Be right back.
If you're a man and you have a pulse, then you need to join this program. You're a husband, you're a father, you're a leader. You have the weight of the world on your shoulders. You have to be everything for everyone, but do you know who and how to be for you? You're still in search of your own significance. You're in internal battle with your own vices. You're questioning, do I even know what it means to be a man? I know I'm supposed to be there for others, but what about me? The fact is, you need a model. You need a code to live by, a system of principles to govern your life. You need an internal compass to guide your every decision. You need the 4 securities to build your own kingdom. What you need is the Foundry. In short, a foundry is a facility where castings are produced by melting metal, pouring liquid metal into a mold, and then allowing it to solidify. Well, this is where we're testing the metal of men. Foundry is a 12-week men's-only coaching program. It is a brotherhood that will take each man through a purification process of the heart, mind, and soul. We here at Couples Academy promise you that if you give us 12 weeks of your life, you will no longer recognize it. If you care about the improving of your life, your marriage, and your family, register today.
Hey guys, we're back. You're watching the Couples Academy show. We're talking about how long does the affair recovery process take. I want to acknowledge all of those who are tuning in right now. So interesting. I got an Uber the other day, and I had to pick up my vehicle. And the person who picked me up, you know, she's listening to my conversations, my business calls on the phone. And then she was like, I don't mean to be nosy, but you're Couples Academy, right? We follow you. We see you every single day. So I want to give her a shout out. I told her I'd give her a shout out the next time we come on. You just never know who's watching, and we appreciate all of you who tune in and share this experience with us. We thank you for sharing this experience with your community, because there's so many people who are hurting and need this type of help. Okay, so we're talking about the affair recovery process. So the first stage is the discovery phase, and that lasts upwards of about 6 weeks. But then for the next 6 months, you're really in what we would call the reactionary stage, right? That is when you're reacting to what has happened. And in that process, there's a lot of things going on. Number one, you're really seeking to understand the why. Like, fine, we spent some time discussing the what. I'm in shock. I'm in awe. I can't believe it happened. I have to accept the reality that this happened to me, that this happened to us. But now I want a deeper understanding into the why. And I don't feel like our conversations have given me that. I feel like you may know on a surface level what you did, or I keep hearing, I don't know why I did it. And so that leaves me in a space of being stuck. I can't heal. I can't move forward because it's not making rational sense to me. How could you take what we've had all this time and do what you did? We've got to understand the why. And then sometimes the person absolutely does know the why, but it is hard for the betrayed spouse to accept that reason. And so they reject it, they deny it, they throw it back, they say it doesn't make sense. And this is where couples get, into these arguments, and it seems like there's no breakthrough, there's no help, we're not moving forward, we're just going in circles, right? Like the children of Israel, just going in circles. We should be beyond this point by now, but we can't seem to have a breakthrough. But while we're trying to unpack the why, and there's layers to the why, even if on a surface level, there are several layers that you're not even aware of. It also represents a grieving period. Now, think about a person who's lost their life. Right? Your family member, they've lost their life. A close friend, they've lost their life. Or maybe there's been a divorce, as an example, right? Whatever the situation may be, there's a grieving period. Grieving simply means there has been a loss. And so oftentimes when an affair occurs, there's been a loss of the relationship that we once had, or I thought we once had. And so I'm mourning the loss of that. And that's kind of hard to put a time stamp on in terms of how long one should mourn, because everybody mourns differently. Everybody deals with this process differently. However, there are 5 stages of mourning that a person should go through. We're not going to unpack that today. But if you're going through the stages of mourning, then you will get to and get through this stage. If you're not aware of these stages, if you don't fully embrace these stages, then you can be stuck in a mourning phase for quite some time. And even though this particular phase, the reactionary phase, we're looking at about 6 months, for some it could be longer than that. For some it could be much shorter than that. Really, it's all about the human factor. And see, I think that's what it all comes down to. So even though generally across the board, it takes upwards of 2 years to heal from an affair, that's if you're doing the work. It depends upon you, because it may be 6 months to a year for one person. It may be 3, 4, 5 years for another person or couple. It may be a few weeks for the other. So it depends upon the process that you're going through, how you deal with it, how you fight through. Okay, so it's a grieving period. And also in this period, the spouse, the offender, the former offender, they're willing to do whatever it takes to help their spouse heal. Now, in this stage, the betrayed spouse is hurting. And so in this phase, they're vacillating back and forth. Do I stay? Do I go? I'm not sure yet. I'm still trying to figure it out. And so they're in this space of ambiguity. And until you reach a space of certainty, right, of clarity about what you want, you stay stuck in this fog of confusion. You stay stuck in, I don't know. And so because of I don't know, this reactionary phase, which is around 6 months, could take even longer. And so there has to be a process that you go through by which clarity can come. Because once you have it, it's almost like when you have clarity, it's like putting a battery in your back, and it allows you to move forward. But if not, if there is no clarity, you begin to wander in circles like the children of Israel in the wilderness. Do you see that? But the former unfaithful partner, they're making a commitment to do whatever it takes. So one of the things that they often are engaged in creating are willingness statements, right? I'm willing to do these things to help you heal. So this is what I think I need to do to be a better version of myself. This is the process that I'm going to go through for my own healing and my own reconciliation within myself, getting back to me. But also, these are the things that I'm willing to do for you to help restore trust, because it is my job as the offender to help you heal. Now, I can't do the work for you. I can only play my role. There are certain things that I cannot do, only you can do. But what I can do, I have a willingness to do. A high willingness to show up and to step forward to provide you with what you need. Because truth be told, it's hard for me to know what I want to do while I'm still hurting and grieving. So my objective is to help the partner, to help the spouse heal. Because when you're unhealthy and when you're broken, you will make decisions based upon that brokenness. And they may not be the best decisions. But if I, as the unfaithful person, can help my spouse heal and get to a better place, to become whole, they will make decisions based upon being healthy and whole, right? And so oftentimes we're putting a demand on them to figure out what they want to do. Do you want this or do you not? Are you in it or are you not? And I think oftentimes we can be insensitive to what it is that they're going through. And now we base how we show up based upon how what decision they choose to make. But regardless of what their decision is, regardless of the stuck place that they're in, we have to be willing to do whatever, no matter what it takes, no matter how bleak it may look, no matter how desperate your situation may be, no matter how just dismal your reality is. You've got to be committed because they're watching you. They're watching you. How are you showing up? Are you consistent? Are you willing to do whatever it takes? And if you are, you can get out of this reactionary stage into the next stage. We'll talk about that next stage on the other side of this break. Stay tuned. Listen, Foundry starts tonight. That's why we're showing the video about getting involved. Unearthed starts tonight. It's not too late. You got a couple minutes to get registered for that, but we'll be right back. Stay tuned.
To the wives struggling to move forward, I know that you're hurt, filled with doubt, fear, anger, and resentment. I know you're trying to be your best self throughout this recovery process, all while still having to be mom, daughter, sister, friend, and so much more. I know it feels impossible to be there for everyone else when at times your journey feels so isolated and alone. I know that more than once a day, you scream on the inside, I can't take this anymore. I know there are days when you feel like you want to give up and run away. I know you spend too much time sitting in your car parked in the driveway to get your head right so that you can keep moving. I know this feels like a lot of work with no guarantees. And I know you wonder, what happened to me? Who am I? And why am I here? More than you'd like to admit. I know all of this because I once felt the way you do too. It may not be evident by looking around because we all wear our masks, but you're not the only one who feels like you'll never get back to you. That's why I've launched Unearthed. Unearthed is a 12-week group coaching program focused on discovering the woman within. Just as the earth hides all kinds of precious stones waiting to be found, buried within every woman are the seeds of wisdom, strength, purpose, and passion waiting to be brought to the light. Unearthed will take you through a spiritual, emotional, and physical excavation process that will reveal to you who God designed you to be and guide you through a process to embrace and activate your true identity. When you complete this journey, you'll have a new focus aligned with your core values so that you can begin to feel your life again and discover that your gifts aren't buried, but planted and waiting to be unearthed. Register today.
Hey guys, we're back. How long does the affair recovery process last? That's what we're talking about today. I want to go to Jay, who has a very powerful statement. He says, it's been 5 months since the D-Day. My wife has forgiven herself and wants me, I guess this means to forgive her for the affair, but I'm not ready to forgive. Well, 5 months in, just based upon the timeline that we're talking about, you're still in that reactionary phase. And interestingly enough, the next phase after that 6-month period of time is what we call the release stage or release phase, and this is around month 9 through 12. This is when you begin to step into forgiveness, right? Forgiveness and reconciliation. And so when we're talking about forgiveness, it goes in many ways, right? My willingness to forgive you, right? But if I'm on the other side of the offense, I have to be able to receive the forgiveness. Some people struggle to receive forgiveness from their spouse for the damage or harm that they've done to the relationship. Then some people struggle to forgive themselves, right? That's a struggle. Then some people struggle to believe that God could ever forgive them. So the forgiveness, I mean, it's a serious situation. It's so necessary to fully embrace it because there's so many different types of forgiveness, and I think many of us have, by default, engaged in like a cheap type of forgiveness or a refusal to forgive, or we've attached so many ideas to what forgiveness is that we've made it almost impossible to begin to forgive. But forgiveness is a necessary step in the process because it allows you to get to the other side. Like if you're on Pain Island going through a whole lot of turmoil in your relationship, and you are dealing with unforgiveness and bitterness and resentment, and it's hard to let things go, you stay trapped in that suffering marital pattern. And that's where you remain for quite some time. Or maybe you're not the couple who is very argumentative. You don't go back and forth. Maybe you live life by silence, the silent killer. Maybe you are separated within your own home. It feels like you're living life on your own along with someone else. Maybe you're not in the same bedroom, or maybe you are, but that twin bed feels like a California king because there's so much distance between you. But in essence, a wall is built up, a thick, impenetrable wall. And I fear being vulnerable. I fear opening up. I fear trusting because of what you may do again. And so now our imagination begins to basically craft ideas in our minds of what will be. We have a negative outlook on the possibility of what may happen in the future. And so to prevent those things from happening, we have to protect ourselves. So now we go into a self-preservation mode. So not only do we struggle with forgiveness, and not only do we hold on to the pain, not only do we refuse to let it go, now we're building a huge wall, almost like we live in an igloo, right? And you can't enter in. You can't enter into my heart, into my mind, or my body, right? We completely lock everything off, but yet we remain committed to staying in the marriage. It's just like, well, wait a minute now. If we're going to be in this marriage, why would we choose to have a horrible relationship, right? There's all types of relationships that we have even within the marriage, right? There's the horizontal relationship we have with our spouse, but there's the internal relationship we have with ourselves and the vertical one we have with God. And I'm telling you now that the struggle to forgive has a lot to do with not fully submitting oneself to a higher authority that can help you get through this. Because many of us are trying to rely on our intellect, on our emotions, just on our being to get us through this. And it's not until we tap into our spiritual source, it is not until we begin to obey the principles that God has governed for us to live by, that it becomes even possible to be able to genuinely forgive, right? And once again, I think that the thing that you struggle with the most, if forgiveness is your struggle, that's the thing that you've got to study the most. You got to become a master student on forgiveness so that you become a master of forgiveness in your life and in your relationship. Let's go to the next comment. Ralph says, the reason for that is that the betrayed has been lied to for so long that it takes time for trust to build again, since trust is lost in buckets and gained in drops. You've been watching, Ralph. You're one of the loyal ones, and you're absolutely right. The reason why it's hard for me to move forward and I'm stuck in this recovery process is because I don't believe you. Because you have lied and you've done such a good job of it that I don't believe you. And you know what? If you've been lying for years, some would say it's going to take me that long before I begin to trust. Hopefully not. Hopefully not. Because with personal transformation, things could be done in a much shorter period of time. But that's the mentality that I have right now. I don't know what to believe. And in fact, not only do I struggle to believe anything you say, I don't even trust myself anymore. Because how did I allow this to happen? How did I not see it? I was not on my game. I was not on my mark. I thought I had intuition and perception and discernment, and I don't even trust myself anymore. So I certainly don't trust you, and that's what makes it extremely difficult. So that trust building process requires truth, genuineness, authenticity, and no longer lying, because you could tell the truth and continue to lie. But when you tell the truth, coupled with refusing to ever lie again, that's when you reach the sweet spot. All right, here's a question. How many years should it take to get over after 20 years? The discovery process has just now happened. Good God. Wait a minute. An affair happened, and after 20 years, the discovery process is just happening? Sis, you need to reach out to us. Call Couples Academy. We would love to talk with you and guide you through a process, because that is torturous to wait so long. That doesn't have to be your story anymore. That's why we have programs like the Last Chance Weekend, Foundry on Earth. That's why we have these things to give you the healing and the relief that you need. Listen, we're going to have to continue this conversation into tomorrow. It's getting good. Love you. See you tomorrow. Take care.